Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey Combs. Good to be here with you on a beautiful Tuesday in Central California. It is July 7th, week number 1 of July. The 6-month point of the year 2026 has been accomplished, and I am here to share with you the separation between your programming and your potential. The universe does not reward you for your potential. The universe will keep you doing the same thing over and over based on your programming. And if you've been programmed to believe you're not good enough, or if you're programmed to procrastinate, or if you've programmed yourself to avoid, well, you will keep recreating the same situation to fulfill the same set of circumstances and feelings. And unfortunately, this is where most of the world lives, is in their subconscious, unconscious programming. So if you've been programmed as a child that you're not good enough, and you're 50 years old and you're still holding on to this story, what's giving you the low self-esteem, limiting beliefs, as you're procrastinating and avoiding without really understanding how to change a behavior, then that just relegates you to tiptoe quietly through life and arrive at your grave safely. If you were building an insurance business, a real estate business, a network marketing business, you're an influencer, affluencer, or a coach, your business is going to be a byproduct of who and what you attract. So you will attract your reality, frequently people and situations, to fulfill your feelings. So your programming your potential is episode number 830 of my GMS Podcast. That means I've been making a lot of podcasts over the years. So your conditioned behavior will be a byproduct of what you learned in your first 18 years of your life. It's also referred to as the 20,000 meals with the wrong financial planners. So the conditioned behavior that you learned from your parents, grandparents, from grade school, the Rockefeller Educational Foundation educational platform that you learned from kindergarten through 18, then the medical pharmaceutical world programmed you to believe certain situations and certain feelings, then the food industry, then we idolized athletes, entertainers, and this idolatry is also part of our programming. And then we are also programmed to trade time for money and get a job and do situations like that and just barely get by. That's all part of the programming. If you want to break out of that matrix, it's a different level of commitment that will be required from you. And the key component is changing a behavior. This is a book originally written in 1949. It's called The Organization of Behavior. It's a very complex book. I don't recommend you buy it. I own it because it's Hebb's Law, but it's not easy reading. But what you can find in here, if you do decide to weed through it, is understanding the science of behavior. And so why you behave in ways you dislike or why you behave in ways you hate, yet don't understand it, that's where many people live. That's called a payoff. Recreate a situation to fulfill a feeling, keep recreating the same situation, not understanding why you do what you do. Then the mouth moves and the mouth says, this doesn't make sense. I don't know why I do this. Well, you do it because it fulfills your programming. You've been programmed like this to believe. So your belief system, which is your certainty, is what most people hold on to. And they'll hold on to beliefs they learned in many from childhood, and they'll live their entire life out of it. Now, if you're watching my content, you've obviously have been changing those beliefs. You've been reading content, you follow social media, you've read a few books, you've coached, you've done whatever you've done. You're in a very low percent of the population. You're the law of the few. So if you've taken courses, read books, coached, gone to events, been in network marketing companies, sold real estate, sold insurance, any of these free enterprise businesses at low point of entry, you have educated yourself on some of this process. But if you still find yourself holding on to certain behaviors yet don't know how to change that process, then that's the content I'm covering today. To change a behavior is to be able to isolate it. So if you're not isolated on what it is you seek to improve, and you're just in this wide space of, I want to change, well, change what? If you're not clear on what you're changing, there'll be nothing to change. So if you're going to change a conditioned behavior, such as food, I've coached many people who live in an overwhelmed, overweight body, not understanding that dieting is not the answer, it's the feelings. When you begin to address the feelings that you stuff, now you're addressing the behavior. The behavior is a byproduct of the grooming that you grew up with a mother or a father who's a food addict or a grandmother, and then food became love. Food becomes a way of life. And it's going to be the same situation for any behavior. If you live in anxiety, fear, and doubt, specifically doubt is a behavior. Doubt allows you to procrastinate. It allows you to avoid. It allows you to avoid responsibility. Why do you do this? Well, if you let go of that behavior, it would change your whole life. But that would also be the lower self-ego is not seeking that because it seeks the familiar. Your higher self, which is courage, which is acceptance, willingness, gratitude, and forgiveness, that's the foundation of changing a behavior. It's going to require you to practice those skills, those emotions, that modality through repetition and experience. But if you're highly critical of yourself, that's a behavior. That's how you behave. And that means that your autonomic reaction to stimulus, signal to noise, means you're in a critical behavior. I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. I can't believe this happens to me. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. This is the rhetorical, unconscious, subconscious that has been programmed into you that you keep living out throughout the rest of your life. And then your body, the mind-body connection, so your mouth can move, and 5% of that's due to your mouth, but the mind-body connection to the trauma your body holds on to is around 95%. This is why people don't change, because they're not changing the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. So my neck goes out of place, my back goes out of place, but I'm not really addressing the feelings that creates that. But if I'm going to a chiropractor, I'm getting adjusted, well, that gives instant relief. But if the lumbar continues to go out of place, if the upper cervical goes out of place at bed, it's not because you slept wrong in your sleep, it's because you took these feelings with you in your rest. And rather than resting, you're tossing and turning, waking up with a neck ache, backache. Why do you do this? Because the subconscious programming is repressed. That means it's subconscious, buried deeply. And so the hippocampus, which is long-term, short-term memory, and the communication style will say in the brain fog, I don't remember my childhood. I don't know why I do this, but I keep doing it to fulfill a feeling. And then if you medicate yourself on it, well, that's a whole nother equation that you'll have to address through being able to relieve yourself of the medication, because the medication will not address the cause that creates the effect. The medication will address the symptom. And that's what most people do, is they address the symptom. So saying an affirmation can be empowering, but if there's not a belief behind the affirmation, then it's words. So when your words come from a sense of certainty or a belief, it changes the molecular structure of the neurons that wire and fire that form the feelings. And you're not rewiring a feeling, you're wiring it. You're wiring a belief system that will last, a belief system based on the foundation fundamental that I'm good enough. If you're in a mixed message and you're not good enough, you'll continue to recreate the same situation to fulfill the same set of circumstances and same feelings that has you doing and being the same situation over and over. This becomes exhausting. And this is why so many people fail. It's because they fail to execute this process of change, changing the behavior. Why you behave in ways you hate. I mean, it's for you to really grasp and understand that. And so that's why you accept where you are. That's a major component of change. Most people believe they should be further along. If that were the case, you would be there. That's why in courage and rigorous honesty, you accept where you are. The willingness to change is you mastering what to change. Reading the book, watching my content, having a deeper understanding of what it means to facilitate that change, that breakthrough event, being able to isolate a feeling and let it go on command. So when you find yourself angry, rather than relapsing into that anger, you're able to release that anger on command. And it's not it won't happen from the left brain. It's not, how do I do that? It's not a how do I, it's an I am state. It's a structured plan to orchestrate the skill set of letting go. The separation through the breath, That's the awareness. You breathe into the feeling, which changes the molecular structure of the neurons that wire and fire. You're virtually changing a feeling in mid-moment. You're changing the shelf life of the neural net so that the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire aren't taking you straight into procrastination. You're letting go of the fear of the outcome. You're letting go of control of the outcome and being able to produce in a relaxed body. You're neutralizing the stories that you've told yourself for years, realizing that stories are lies that are used to keep you safe. And while being safe, you're also disappointed. It's the safe, disappointed process that most people live in. And as you have a better understanding of that your purpose is not to be safe, your purpose is to be inspired. And in that inspirational energy, you're letting go of the unknown, the anxiety about the unknown, and you're living in the solution. Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Breathe, release, and let go in a relaxed body today. Good to be here with you. And if you're watching this on replay, give me a replay. Have a great afternoon, everyone.